Welcome to Bits of Wit, Wit Incorporated's web series bringing you snippets of theatre throughout isolation. I'm Elle Bordell and I'm a company member with Wit Incorporated. I would first like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which Wit Incorporated creates, connects and communicates, the Wurundjeri, Woiwurrung and Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. We pay deep, deep respect to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that their sovereignty on this unceded land was never ceded. We extend our respects to First Nations people across Australia. You are about the premiere launch of our third Bit of Wit, At Home with Anne Ziete. Your favourite homemaker brings you some hot tips. Bits of Wit is a series of original works, reimagined and created for the screen, supported by Maribyrnong Arts and Culture and Creative Brimbank. After the video, be sure to stick around and join me for a conversation with creator and performer Jennifer Piper. In the meantime, please like this video and subscribe to our channel to help us reach more audiences. And if you love what we do, please consider donating to Wit Incorporated to help us continue into the future. And now, gather your emotions, settle back, and enjoy At Home with Anne Ziete.
The following film contains mention and discussion of mental illness, consumption of prescription medication, and consumption of alcohol. What if I told you I'd come into your home every week and show you all the ways you're doing it wrong? It's time to be at home with Anne Ziete. Figuring out what to do with all of those feelings of impending doom and crushing failure. Well, I have some suggestions today that I think are kind of fun and have certainly worked for me over the years. You just have to be a bit creative. Understand the requirements of perfection and commit yourself to never making a mistake. All of your emotions have a natural shelf life. After that, you'll find that they begin to lose their spice. But not to worry. With a little bit of bottling, you can keep those emotions high and on hand for an eternity. Anxiety is especially good for preserving. All of those rich and varied flavors promise you a churning tummy and a quickened heart rate with every single bite. Oh, we have a question from a home viewer. Helen here now from Misery in Australia asks, what would you use to store that in, Anne? Well, I am glad you asked, Helen in Misery. I use jars, and I think we're going to need a lot of them. Now, you can use new jars and destroy the planet, or you can use old jars and just accept the fact that your shelves are messy and you are a terrible housekeeper. Fuck. Now, grab a knife and let's get to work. I like to start by removing the stalks and stems from my feelings. Unease and uncertainty will give you a much thicker jam if they're not watered down by logic and reason. If you find it too hard to use a knife, or perhaps you are not allowed access to knives, then you can just tear at your feelings with your bare hands. Get your emotions straight into the pan to really seal in the flavors. Now mix in your tears.
What?
You can use fresh tears if you wish. You can use any tears you have on hand, as long as you use good quality tears. I like to harvest and store mine to really let the flavors develop. Tears of frustration will give you a chutney that pairs perfectly with swearing under your breath. Self-loathing tears give you a jam that is great for eating just straight out of the jar. Today, we're using male tears. Now, these are readily available in any public or private space. If you do have trouble locating them, just begin a conversation about Hillary Clinton or Ghostbusters, and you'll find they come to you. Male tears can add some delicious spice if they're used correctly, but they can be difficult to swallow. So just be careful not to overdo it. Now it's time to turn on the heat. Get yourself to boiling point and hold it there for about 4 to 5 minutes, or until your panic attacks have left you utterly desiccated. Here's one I prepared earlier. Now pull yourself together and pour your filthy soul into those jars. Then cover over with waxed etiquette and diazepam.
The producers of At Home with Anxiety wish to advise that this program does not constitute medical advice. All medication should be taken only under guidance and advice of medical professionals. The persons and legal entities involved in this production and its distribution do not accept any responsibility for personal injury, illness, or loss caused by any action taken at the advice of the program or its host, which is not advice anyway, and it's not our fault if you pay attention to and respect the advice of the figurehead we have worked hard to establish as an authority on life and arbiter of good choices.
Failing from Post Street in New York asks, what would you use to store them, Anne? I'm glad you asked, Host Failing. You can just box them up and shove them right to the back of the cupboard, where they will store for many, many years. Sometimes you'll get a crack, and your jar will shatter, spilling emotion all over you and everyone around you. When this happens, be sure to gather up all of those new feelings of shame, self-loathing, and confusion, and get them into a pan. Twice stewed emotions have twice the flavor. Thanks for joining me for At Home with Anxiety, because being alone just brings us closer together. And with Christmas only 6 months away, it's time to get planning with my new book, Don't Ruin Christmas with Anxiety. And the great news is our automatic subscription service means you don't have to do a thing to catch all my latest tips. I'll just pop up in your life whenever I have something to say. Join me next week and discover how you can have me in your life at all times, even when you're asleep, when I show you my favorite ways to fold flat and fitted sheets of depression.
Yeah, look, I just wanted to call and say that I reckon Leslie Jones is funnier than Bill Murray.
Okay, how are you all feeling, Captivate? It was certainly quite a journey. I'm joined now by writer and performer Jennifer Piper, or JP, for a bit of a chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the comments box and we will respond to them. But in the meantime, JP,
Yes.
just how much time do you spend coming up with punny names for those characters?
I love a good bit of wordplay. In the original stage show from which this little scene was adapted, all I wanted to do was find more places to put punny names in. So the game show was hosted by Edification, and the contestant was Serotonin. And it just, I love it. Sometimes they come to me as if in a vision,
But
we've just on that theme got a question from Belle Campbell, who's asked us to clarify what's Helen's name.
Helen's name is Helen Hiernaw, Hiernaw, an actual surname, because it's Helen here now.
Ah, of course.
Yeah.
And I remember a particularly excited moment when you found a real person called Anne Ziete.
I know. That's so the Ziete with an accent is not the original spelling of anxiety. Originally, it was Anne, and then the second half of the word anxiety. And but then I found this. I don't even know what made me go looking, but it was a highlight of the year, I'm gonna say, in a very eventful year. Yeah, I love a pun though.
As you referenced, this piece was originally part of your 2019 and 2020 piece. That time everything went well and we were totally fine.
I also really like long titles.
And you co-wrote and performed this with the said named Belle Campbell.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the process of translating the scene from a two-hander to a sort of solo work?
Yeah. So in the stage production, Anne was much more of a I can name people, much more of a Maggie Beer type person, and she was that's not really pertinent, but anyway, she was a guest on a morning show hosted by Joy Fuller. And this time around, look, it may surprise you to know, I don't actually have access to a commercial television kitchen. So fortunately, I have a friend with a kitchen that looks like a showroom kitchen. So that's what prompted the translation into it being a cooking show as opposed to a morning show. And then I really liked the idea of playing with the second character as a home viewer, because we are talking about being at home with anxiety, and not at home in the comfortable sense, but just having anxiety follow you around everywhere. And what follows us around everywhere more than social media and webcast content and our phones? And thanks for tuning in, everyone. So this idea, you carry your phone around with you everywhere. And so what if she lived in there? And what if she just followed you? Which also meant that I could do fun things such as have Anne be broadcasting in the day out of the US and Helen be in Australia at nighttime, which then gives you cool things with beautiful, bright, awash with hope looking kind of kitchen and darkness in Melbourne. It was filmed at 5:30. I didn't have to black out the lights.
It's very dark, it's very sad, it's very wintry isolation.
Yeah.
And I feel a bit like Anxiety herself as I read from the... we've got a question from a viewer.
Hey!
Who is your favourite character to play?
Oh, gosh. I want to say that's like asking somebody to choose their favourite child, but every parent I know has an actual favourite child, so, out of Anne and Helen. Oh, look, I love them for different reasons. Because Anne is just so steadfast in her refusal to present anything but a finished facade. It meant that when things happened, like I forgot to bring Tic Tacs to use as diazepam and really wanted to put it in my mouth and crunch it on screen. So I decided that we would just use a paracetamol and I'd just crunch that.
And when you're playing a character like that and you do something, you just get to really play with the extremes of this need to be perfect. Because as you have actual disgusting paracetamol running through your face, you're still trying to be, yeah. So I think we ended up with a little promo clip of Anne just drinking and then stopping and smiling. We had a couple of them. But then, there's something kind of joyous about the innocence and not innocence, sort of hopefulness and naivety that I was able to let Helen have, dancing around in the kitchen like nobody's watching. And I got to sit on the kitchen floor and drink wine. That's kind of fun.
Speaking of which, another question's come through.
Yes.
How was the wine and would you recommend it?
Yes. Yes, I would. It was I can't even remember which one I was drinking. It was real wine, which is utterly unprofessional, not something I would ever do. But lockdown, I couldn't find stuff to make realistic looking wine, and I don't drink white wine. So it was either that or I have Helen just necking gin. So,
I think while we're filming from home, we can let a couple of things go as well. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really lovely wine. I'll look it up and share it.
And you referenced that Anne was a little bit inspired originally by Maggie Beer.
Yes.
Are you a fan of any particular celebrity chefs or homemakers? And tell us a bit more about your inspo.
Yeah, I love that. Perhaps not so much in Australia, but certainly in the US and the UK, celebrity chefs seem to have this license, or celebrity cooks, to license to become the most them they can be. If you've never seen Delia Smith urge you never to wash a leaf while talking about lettuce, I hope that one day you can, because it is magnificent. And Julia Childs, talking, waving knives around and ripping up chickens, and Martha Stewart, of course. Martha Stewart and Delia Smith were big inspirations for this iteration of Anne. She did go through a Julia Childs moment, which was fun, very fun. But yeah, I also try to... So you look at the mechanics and the external, and what are the things that make us immediately look at something and immediately think, yep, this is a celebrity chef. But then I'm really intrigued by the parallels, which I guess is why we write these kind of characters that are... forgot the word. It's a word that means something like metaphor. Anyway. Personification. There you go. The bits that are similar, and I guess the thing that is similar between television and living with mental illness in a context where it is taboo, is that you put a lot of effort into how it looks and how it finishes, and the hamburger that you photograph is not the hamburger that you would eat. Yeah.
Speaking of process,
yes.
I've got one more question I'd like to ask you, which is, Bits of Wit has been a really quite rapidly pulled together project. Like a lot of artists at the moment, we received a quick response grant. Shout out to Creative Brimbank and Arts and Culture at Maribyrnong. And so we responded quickly to it. What's been your experience of pulling a work together so quickly and having so little time between writing and filming and editing and now release?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because the funding is so appreciated.
because it is so rare and so needed. And at the same time, it puts a strange kind of pressure on the creative process, because we are not a webisode company. We make theatre. So there was nothing on the go to which we could just allocate the funding. So it meant thinking about what would be great, what would be useful to us as artists, what would be possible. And then even within that context, the turnaround was so much faster than one would normally expect for even a series of webisodes, because it's a lot to write and plan and storyboard and do all of that stuff. So it was an interesting exercise in, I suppose, distilling the process down to its compulsory steps. What are the things that you must have, and what are the things that you can jettison? And then, of course, that's all on a foundation of you're going to do it at home on your own. So it's been kind of wild. It's certainly not an experience I would have imagined having. Yeah. And the set that I set up however many months ago for the web series that I was going to start filming is still in place. It's now covered in laundry and props and stuff from this series. But I'll uncover it and get back to it.
Well, we look forward to seeing that coming up, because you've done a fantastic job with both Anne Ziete and Helen Here Now and Hope Keller from a couple of weeks ago, if you missed the video. So thank you very much for sharing that creativity with us, and thank you also for sharing a little bit about the creative experience tonight.
Yeah,
and thank you, all of us, for joining us here for our live event. Oh, look, it's not just Helen Here Now who likes a bit of wine. You'll be able to watch back over Anne Ziete. You can find the video on our YouTube account. In the meantime, please like this video and subscribe to the channel to spread the word. And next week, please come back, same spot, same time. We'll be bringing you our very final bit of wit, Pretend by Lancy Fang, where she'll share one of her amazing original songs. See you then.